Hi Phil,
Hello, David.
thanks for joining us today. This
Very
is
welcome.
Ascential Expert session, and we're here now just off the back of Cannes Lions 2018, and a lot of the coverage is saying that you pulled off a great pivot with the event, and I'd love to know how you did that, what you did differently, and really how you pulled it off.
Well, the industry were really telling us there were two main things they wanted us to change. One was the structure of the awards that we run, and the other was to look at the length of the festival and how long people have to be away from the office effectively. So what the team did was they looked at both those things. They radically changed both those things. I suppose the biggest change that they delivered was taking an 8-day festival into a 5-day event. And effectively not really losing that much either, doing most of the things that we did anyway within 5 days.
Right.
That's a really big thing to do with an event, and obviously quite risky, but the response was really positive. The second thing was the awards that we run.
Yeah.
So the feeling was the awards are the most important in the world. They need to be the hardest to win. They need to show the greatest work in the world. And so it was a bit technical, but we changed quite a lot about the awards themselves to make sure that the work was absolutely outstanding, and that worked as well.
With Cannes Lions and Money 2020, you run two extremely big global events, and yet we're living through a period of enormous digital disruption, new means of communication. How do you think about how your events are going to prosper in such an environment?
Well, I'm a big believer in events. I think events have two very, very strong elements to them that are really embedded in human nature effectively, which makes them very strong. And the first is that human beings, rightly or wrongly, for good and for ill, are tribal beings. We're all in various tribes, whether we like it or not. And really, when you go to an event, what you're doing is you're identifying with your tribe. You know, we are the tribe that go to Money 2020. We are the tribe that go to Cannes Lions. And that is a deep, fundamental human need. And the second thing, of course, is you can't digitize a conversation. People have tried. You can't digitize bumping into somebody, asking them what they do, where they come from, seeing if you have common ground, and maybe doing business with them. That is what people come to events for. Human beings, you know, why are there restaurants? Why do people sit together eating food? Why are there cities? You know, human beings need to be together, and that is the fundamental strength of events.
Great, but I guess you're also having your cake and eating it, because you've just launched the work at Cannes Lions, which is, well, I'd love to hear how you would explain that, and also you bought Walk, and so you're investing in digital businesses around certainly Cannes Lions.
Yeah, I mean, the one perhaps weakness of events is that they tend to be annual. Sometimes they're not, but broadly speaking, they're annual. So you really have deep relationship with your customers for one short period of time. And event organisers really have been trying to find ways to engage with their customers over the whole year. We're very lucky on Cannes that we've got the archive of all the amazing work that's been winning over many years. So with the work, what we've done is we've launched a searchable, very, very useful tool to find out what is the best work in the world and how and who's done that work. So that's really about creativity. And then our acquisition of Walk is about the other two really important things in marketing, which is the planning of a campaign and the measurement of that campaign, with Cannes Lions providing the middle bit, which is the execution.
And I have to ask you, on that basis, are you therefore thinking that from an event perspective, those other parts of branded communications would be maybe opportunities for you from an event point of view too?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a bit cliched, but all brands really need to have both physical and digital incarnations. I'm absolutely convinced about that. If you look at the most successful businesses in the world, take Amazon. You know, Amazon are opening shops, right? So that's crazy. Why are they doing that? Because they understand that you have to have a physical presence and a digital presence. That's what we're building towards at Ascential.
So with the work and Cannes Lions, you're doing that for creativity, and I guess with Walk in measurement and in planning, you now maybe have some opportunity around events in that space. Should we watch that carefully?
Well, we've got evidence of that because we've been working with Walk for many years, and they do run a stream of content at Cannes Lions. And this year it was absolutely rammed to the rafters. And it just shows you how people do want to have that human contact. They want to see people, they want to talk to people. So yeah, there's a definite opportunity.
Now with Money 2020, you've taken a very different strategy because, in fact, you're growing Money 2020 very aggressively this year. You launched it in Singapore in March, and you're going to launch it in Hangzhou in China in November. And so you've clearly come to the conclusion that you don't want to have one global event, you're going to do it regionally. I guess two questions here. One, why have you pursued such a different strategy? And two, what is it about Money 2020 that means that it is able to operate in those different regions?
Well, those two questions are kind of linked. So if you compare it with Cannes, so Cannes Lions is the global event for the marketing communications industry. Why does the marketing communications industry want one big global event? The reason for that is, broadly speaking, the customers that we serve are structured globally. Mm-hmm. So if you think about our big advertising agency customers like WPP, or you think about our marketing customers like Procter & Gamble, they are global companies that are looking for a global event, and what they do around the world is remarkably similar. If you take FinTech, Money 2020 of course, because of regulations and other reasons as well, take-up of technology, etc., what happens in each region is really quite different. So you can have a very, very large regional event like Money 2020 Europe, and also one in Asia that can grow to real scale because there are so many interesting conversations to be had about that particular region. That's why we have that particular strategy on Money 2020.
And it seems to be working with Money 2020 because you've grown it in Europe. That's been growing at a double-digit rate and more for 3 years now. And Asia seems to start well. In Hangzhou, China is a very different market, particularly for a Westerner. How are you going about that?
Well, we're taking it slowly, and we're partnering very strongly with not only the city of Hangzhou and the regional government, but also the central government, the universities and the companies around, particularly around Hangzhou, the most famous of which, of course, is Alibaba. And one of the reasons we're doing it in Hangzhou is because it's the home of Alibaba, the most incredible business, an e-commerce platform that's admired around the world, and also huge in fintech, absolutely enormous in fintech. So by working with partners, we feel we can perhaps enter the Chinese market with less risk.
You've been in this company for
X years.
X decades even. and I wondered, you know, you're very successful, you've done many things. What is it about having a long career in one company and how that's worked for you personally?
I think it has to go hand in hand with two things. The first is the ability to change and be challenged, because clearly if you stay in the same company doing the same job, that, for me anyway, that would get quite boring. So is it a company that gives you opportunities to change your own personal situation and develop your career? That's the first thing. And the second thing I think is it a company that is fearless of change itself? So it gives you the opportunity to change, but actually also is very exciting when it comes to what it's prepared to do. And you know, one day I'll write the book, but the history that I've lived with through Ascential and Top Right Group and EMAP before that has been one of constant change and challenge, and that's what I enjoy.
That's great to hear. Thank you very much, Phil. Thank you.
Thank you.